Hi guys, welcome, and if you're new here, my name is Leia. A lot of foreigners come here in the Philippines. One biggest reason is to find a traditional and more feminine type of women. Well, it's sad to say that there are some Filipina that already has been ruined or has become westernized. So in this video, I'm gonna give you 4 biggest reasons why Filipina become westernized. Maybe you can get advice, maybe you can save your Filipina to become one. So if you're interested and if you're ready, let's begin. So here's the 4 biggest reasons why Filipina become westernized. Number 1, hanging out with wrong type of Filipina. Filipina that already has been ruined, has become westernized. And if you're Filipina going to hang out with those type of Filipina, that can change them, that can change their mindset. There is a saying that you become the person you hang out with. I believe in that. You could be living here in the Philippines or living in the United States, it doesn't matter. When it comes to making friends, guys, you have to really be wise and pick the right one. I have met or I have faced or encountered some Filipina that I believe already has been ruined and has become westernized. Good thing about me is I am aware, I know the boundaries, I know exactly how to deal with it. So here's the type of Filipina that I usually avoid when they trying to portray themselves, or if I think they are being materialistic, I usually avoid them. Like if they're going to brag about how much their bag cost or ring cost, sometimes they would even brag about how much their husband give them as their allowance. They usually ask you about yours, how much your husband give you as your allowance. And for me, that's very inappropriate type of question, you know. If you're going to hang out with this type of Filipina that likes to brag, trying to compete about money, it doesn't exist here in the Philippines before, but now it does. So if you're going to listen to this type of Filipina, that can change you. That can even affect your relationship towards your husband or your marriage, you know. Because those type of Filipina normally like to go out for shopping. They like to go places like spending money, like sometimes they have other priorities. Some Filipina, you know, I have seen some that can't even cook for their husband, they can't even, you know, taking care of their husband because they have their other priorities. They spend time often to their friends, and I don't want to hang out with those type of Filipina. My biggest priorities is my family, and there is a Filipina that would even think being a wife or being busy with your family or doing things for your husband is slavery, or you're being a helper. Your husband treat you like a slave or a nanny. I have experienced once. She's actually close to me, but not now. But we used to be close, and she's also married to American or a foreigner man. Yeah, so she came here in our house, and she see how much I do things for him, for my family, especially for Gary. So she called me a nanny for doing all those things because she doesn't do the same thing. She doesn't do the stuff to her husband just because she see me as doing that. You know, she thinks it's too much. You know, I am being controlled by my husband in this and that. Well, Gary doesn't ask me to do things like that, like cooking for him, like doing things for him. She doesn't ask me to do that. I am happy to do it. I'm happy to do my duty as a wife. And we Filipina were raised like that, but it's sad to say that there are some Filipina already has the Western mindset when it comes to marriage. You know, they think it's 50-50, like you know, your husband should do this to help you in this. And it's fine if the husband is, you know, doesn't have work or he's okay with that, and if he's happy to do that, I mean, that's fine. Anyway, whatever works in your relationship, but I don't think it's right for other Filipina to call other Filipinas like myself a name for doing our my rule or our rule as a wife. I don't think that's right. And here's the other type of Filipina that I usually avoid. I have experienced this twice, that I have invited for a girls' night out. There's no such a thing like that here in the Philippines before. Filipina, especially if you're married already, there's no such a thing like going to a bar and have drinks. This only exists in the Western country, used to be. But here in the Philippines, there are some Filipina already started doing that, and I have invited twice, and I don't have to think about it. I would just decline that. Those type of Filipina, I don't want to hang out. If you're not aware and you would give in to that, like, you'll get used to that. I know not everyone is going to agree with me on this, but for me, I mean, if you're single, I mean, you can do that. If you think it's okay, you can do that. You can go out to a bar and have drinks. But for me, like, if you're already married, what's the point of going to that type of place, like, without your husband, even with, like, come on, I don't want, like, I would feel the same way. I would feel disrespected if my husband is going to go a place like that and have drinks, and I would not be comfortable. I don't want other women to dance shaking their ass in front of my husband. I don't want to do that. In this type of Filipina, they're really good at trying to convince you to join with them because they think it's good. It's good for you to get away from your family, to have fun and this and that, blah, blah, blah. They're really good at it. And if you're going to decline them, they would try to call you're being weak, your husband is being controlled. Even if it's okay for my husband, guys, come on, I would not go to a place like that and leaving my kids at night. There's some other things you can do just to have some time with your friend. You could go for a lunch or dinner, go for a hike. Like, there's so much things you could do just to have time for yourself. I'm sure it's very healthy. Yeah, I do believe it's healthy. I do that sometimes, to go out with my friends, have coffee, and out with them. Like, there's some other stuff, like activities you can do to spend time with your friend, except for a place like that, just to get away from your family and go to a place like that. Just not for me. So that's the number one. Number two, if she's dating or if she's married to a weak man, weak men create strong women. So if she becomes strong, she becomes independent, she will get the Western mindset. Here's the mistake that some Western men make when they're going to date a Filipina. When they come here in the Philippines, they bring, or they still adapt the Western mindset when it comes to dating. Like, di ka na lead. You can't expect your Filipina to be traditional if you're not being a traditional husband. Like, a traditional husband is being a leader, to take lead. You have to be a respected man. You have to respect yourself. You have to have boundaries. When you're meeting a Filipina, you have to set boundaries. You have to know when to stand for yourself. You have to learn how to say no. When you started your relationship like that, believe me, as your relationship grow with your Filipina, she would have much, much, much respect for you. I've included this because I've seen some guys that just don't know how to handle relationship. They still have that Western mindset when it comes to dating. Like, I do understand that in some way. Like, I've seen some guys, trying to act desperate, like, especially that, coming from the Western country, you are being invisible when it comes to women there. Like, even women that in your age, that, even not good looking type of women in your country would not even approach you or not even look at you. I understand that. So when you come here in the Philippines, you think you would just act desperate. Come on, guys. There's so many women here in the Philippines, single women, that would want to be with you, okay? You don't have to act desperate. You have to be that man. You have to be confident. You have to have standard, not too high. Like, you have to have standard, knowing what you really want in a woman. I include this in this topic because I've seen it. I've seen some guys, I've seen some foreign women that would just say yes to everything their Filipina says. They would let their Filipina to walk all over them, control them, and lead them because they want to please their Filipina. They don't want to disappoint the Filipina. But guys, you have to be the man. You have to set boundaries. You have to know when to say no. You have to stand up for yourself. So if you come here in the Philippines to find a traditional type of Filipina, you have to be that traditional man or traditional husband. You have to be strong if you want to create a traditional and feminine type of Filipina. So please keep that in mind. Number 3, if you're going to take her or bring her in your country or in Western country, not in every case, because I know some Filipina that been to the US and they still have that traditional values. They're still that traditional Filipina. But there's a high chance that if you're going to take your Filipina in the West, that can change her mindset. Like for example, if you take your Filipina in the US and she will start working, like I'm sure she is going to have a worker that is a Karen or whatever, Western workers. So it's just probably the matter of luck. Like for example, if she working and she have a co-worker that have that really feminist kind of mindset, I would say, that would try to convince her or to poison her mind, yeah, that can really westernize her. You know, like maybe her Karen co-worker will tell her, oh, you're working, your husband doesn't give or doesn't make that much money, and you're doing that too, you're doing the work, you're doing the house chore, like you know exactly how the Western mindset, right? Also about making friends, as I said earlier, you could be living here in the Philippines and living in the Western world. Like you have to tell your Filipina, when it comes to making friends, you have to really be wise, because there are some Filipina that already in the West that already become Westernized, and if you're Filipina going to hang out with those type of Filipina, that can boom change her. Here's the thing, if my husband like Gary is going to take me to the US, I would prefer not to make friends with other Filipina. And besides, like having kids, having Gary, that enough company for me. So I don't, that having friends with other Filipina like in the West, for me that's unnecessary for me. So it's better to just enjoy your company with your husband. Like it's okay to have 1 or 2 friends, at least not Westernized, not being ruined type of Filipina, you know. So keep that in mind. If you're going to bring your Filipina in the US, guys, tell her to make friends with the right Filipina. Number 4, or the last one, is if she spent too much time on social media. I am guilty about that, but you could use social media for your own advantage. Like it's fine to use social media as long as you know how to use it. Getting attention from social media, sometimes that can change them. Like if you met a sexy Filipina TikToker, she would not really value you that much because she get too much attention from other guys. She would think that she could change you quickly. The Western women's opinion or the feminist opinion is all over social media. She saw a video of a feminist like telling her how relationship should be, how men should treat you, how much men should make, and this, that, blah, blah, blah. You know, that can manipulate her, and she started think that's right, that's how a relationship should be, and that can westernize her, you know. So yeah, those are the common or the biggest 4 reasons why Filipina become westernized. And I hope you guys learned something. Thank you so much for joining me until the end, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!